Hey, this is the Zipding. I'm here to show you my new Ork work in progress and my current Lizardmen Army. It's not a huge army, but I can still get off about 1,000 points. So, thanks to the new 8th edition rules, I actually don't own any hero or lord units. So I'm just using stand-ins like my King Skirmisher Brave and generally my Cold One Champion or my Source Warrior Champion. Anyway, so I've been collecting these guys since I think December. Yeah, December. So I don't have a huge army, but I've been focusing more on orcs recently, so I've gotten a nice large orc force. And I'm starting to build up my lizardmen, as more people in my group are actually starting to get interested in fantasy. And I've got about less than half my army fully painted, but I'm on my way to getting it. At Christmas I got the Source Warriors, Skink Warriors, and the Cold One Cavalry. So I was able to get a nice, good, solid force going. I had about 800 points then, and that was that was before the new rulebook came out. And since the new rulebook came out, I've kind of been getting more interested in it because I've been playing it more often. And I just have some Skink Warriors. Generally, these guys don't do a whole lot. They usually hold a Skink Priest or Skink Chief if I'm running one, and they can generally deal a bit of damage, not a whole lot. If there's more of them, they could. But I only have 12 of them in that squad and 12 of them in my Skink Skirmishers. So sorry about that. So I have about 12 Skink Skirmishers as well. And this here is my Skink Skirmisher Brave. I entered him into the Midi Wargaming Fantasy Painting Competition. I didn't win. That goes off to a guy who painted a Corn Lord and a Juggernaut. Hats off to him. That was a really good painting job. But I do plan on using this guy. And I dropped him again. Sorry about that. Hats off to him. I didn't really care. It was just helpful. So, anyway, that's that. These are my Source Warriors. I painted these guys first before I got Bad Ab Black and Devlin Mud and Burnished Gold and all that. So I used a couple of techniques that I used for the teeth on my orcs, for the stone and all that stuff. So it worked out okay. And what I did for the skin here was I just dry brushed on the scales here. I changed it later. I just dry brushed on some Dark Angel's green after a Ball Red wash. I personally don't really like Ball Red on red. It doesn't show up all that much, even though it's on Blood Red. So I personally don't like it all that much. You may differ, but that's just my personal opinion. I'll just leave it at that. And now I have some Cold One Cavalry. These guys, if you're playing Lizardmen, don't underestimate these guys. These guys are tough. 8 of these guys can wipe out about half an army if you roll well, and if you can get some, if you can just overrun and flank charge galore. So yeah, but I ran into these one time, Bretonians and Dwarfs versus Lizardmen and Orcs and Goblins. It was more just a Goblins army, and I was successful in getting off a charge. I barely got it off. I was like 19 inches away, and I rolled exactly what I needed. And I was able to charge some Knights Errants, wipe them out, and then proceed to charge down the line of Knights of the Realm, and then Peasant Bowmen. And then the next round, after they got all shot up by the Dwarves and the Great Cannon, I think the Great Cannon and maybe the Organ Gun, I'm not 100% sure, but they did get shot at quite a bit, and were just reduced down to the champion. So he charged, took out the remaining Peasant Bowmen, wiped out the Organ Gun, and then unfortunately lost, and was finally beaten and ran away when he faced the Orc Warriors. So they can deal quite a bit of damage, even way over their points value. I think these guys are in around 200 some odd points or so, and they took out well over 400 just from the Knights, from the Bretonian units. And as you can tell, they're painted quite well. What you should do if you have Cold One Cavalry is to send them up the flank. It's the same thing with the Skink Skirmishers, except these guys are more of an expendable unit. I generally use these guys for distraction. Now I also borrowed some Nurgling bases. Well, not really borrowed, but used some bases from a friend who got Nurglings. And then they come with those 40 mil square bases. And I just used them. I just used a couple of extra basing stuff that you get from the Cold One Cavalry and glued it onto the base, and they're jungle swarms now. They work quite well. Now my current work in progress is a unit of Temple Guard. These guys are a must if you're playing with a Slan Mage Priest at all, and they're quite useful even if you don't have a Slan, because they have a nice, tough stat line. I think it's like the same as almost the same as a Space Marine. So it's like weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4. They have 2 attacks each with strength 5 with the halberds, actually. And with cold-blooded and leadership 8, they're actually a very, very tough unit to break. And overall, they're quite well. I played a battle last week on Friday, and I was facing off against High Elves, and it was a learning experience for both of us. My first time against High Elves, his first time against Lizardmen. I ran with some Skink Skirmishers, Old Blood with Blade of Realities. If you're playing in Old Blood and you have the choice, if you have the points, grab the Blade of Realities. It is awesome. I have some Skink Skirmishers, Skink Warriors, a Skink Priest with Charm of Tapok. Also another must if you want a really effective Skink Priest, level 2 with Charm of Tapok. That way you have 3 spells and a higher chance of getting Comet of Cassandora, which is awesome. I had some Temple Guard in there. I had my Saurus Warriors, which are nice and tough. And I had a Jungle Swarm unit. Now, he had some Lorthern Sea Guard, a Mage, Archers, Swordmasters, and Phoenix Guard. I was able to win it, but barely. I had like the champion of my Saurus Warriors unit, my Old Blood, my Revered Guardian, my Priest, and a couple of Skinks left by the end of it. But I was able to wipe them all out. I was able to take out his Swordmasters thanks to the flank charge with my Saurus Warriors and the head-on charge with my Temple Guard. Unfortunately, I lost 5 Temple Guard in that battle, but I was able to break the unit and overrun them, thus taking them out of the fight completely, and which was awesome. And overall, I think the majority of my army is probably going to be Saurus, like Temple Guard, Saurus Cavalry, obviously a Stegodon with Engine of the Gods, because it's awesome. I do also plan on getting a Slain Mage Priest. I also do plan on getting a Chakax, who is, if you're running with a Slain Mage Priest, get him, because, oh my gosh, his abilities are awesome. He always has to challenge, and he must always accept a challenge. While in a challenge, he must re-roll all failed to hit rolls. In a challenge, he has a 5+ ward save, and anyone wishing to attack him automatically strikes last, no matter what. Overrolls, the High Elves always strike first roll. It actually says that. He has has a great weapon, which augments his strength to strength 7. And even with the always strike first, he overrules the initiative 1 thing there because he always strikes first. Magical attacks against magical weapons that are used against from a mundane of the same type. So if they have a poisonous magical weapon, it's just a poisonous weapon. No scouts may set up within 20 inches of him. Also, any assassins or fanatics that are other hidden units that come within 20 inches of him, I know exactly where they are. Also, if I hit the opponent, they have to tell me all the magical items in that unit. So he's a very, very good defender, especially when he's with Temple Guard and a Slan. That way they become unbreakable, and they get to reroll Lookout Sir rolls. So Chakax is awesome, but unfortunately he's expensive, and you can't really use him in smaller points battles. So my next plan is getting the battalion, which comes with 20 Saurus Warriors, 12 Skinks, 10 Temple Guard, and 8 Saurus Cavalry. And I do plan on adding 4 Warriors actually to this unit to max it out to 20. It's just fun. That leaves me with 16, so 15 with spears, and convert the last into Gorok, who is a nice tough character as well. Add in 10 more Temple Guard there. 7 Saurus Warriors, Saurus Cavalry here, and use the last one to convert into a Scar of Red or Old Blood as I so choose, using one of the halberds from the Temple Guard kit. Because halberds are always better than average hand weapons. And just adding the 12 Skinks over here. So that way I can have full 3 Croxagores in there, which are generally pretty good from the looks of it. Now, I also did tell you I was going to show you my current Ork work in progress, which is this Defcopta. You may have seen the base in the video before, I introduced it, but if I can get it right here, I can show you my wet blending. This is the first time I actually used wet blending on a miniature. And overall, it looks really good. I've used it on almost everything so far. You can see. I believe you can see it on the teeth there. Sorry, the camera's focusing in on the wrong thing. There you go. You can see it on the teeth there, I believe. Yeah. So I've also used some highlighting with them. Generally, this shoulder turned out the best with the wet blending. I've also worked on the pants. I've got some fingernails done, and I've also started working on metal there. So generally, he looks awesome, and the base is pretty cool as well. If the last video I told you how I did that, it's just canary bedding, sand, and yellow flock. That's it. And the basis for these guys is just yellow and green flock with goblin green and graveyard earth. So that's it there. I do plan on getting a lot of extra stuff here. For out of all the regular units, Lizardmen have really good core units, especially in the Saurus Warriors for nice hard hitting close combat units. Games Workshop does compare these guys to Chaos Warriors. I haven't fought against them, but these guys can casually wipe out. Okay, not really casually, but they can do quite well against other really good units for other armies, especially if you get a flank charge against Swordmasters, because that's the best way to take out Swordmasters. They also have Skink Skirmishers, which are really good units. They get they get double shots, pretty decent ballistic skill. The average ballistic skill in this game 3. They get to march and shoot with poison weapons, which is always good. And then there's Skink Warriors. These guys are also pretty good as well. All their weapons are poisoned, and they're also aquatic, meaning they get Water Walk, Swamp Walk, Marsh Walk, all those fun ones that are in FAQ that I haven't really seen. Saurus Cavalry, even though they have stupidity, when you roll 3d6 on Leadership 8, there's a pretty good chance you're going to pass it. I think I've failed it maybe once. So it's very low chance you're actually going to fail it, and generally these guys are really tough, and the fact is they're also their saves are awesome. Temple Guard are really good as well, primarily because of halberds. If there's a slam in the unit, they become immune to psychology and stubborn, which makes it that much better, so you're always rolling it on the Stein's Leadership 9, no matter what. And the fact is the Revered Guardian can get a magic weapon, and there can be a magic standard, and while the Coldwind Cavalry can only get a magic standard. And there are a couple of standards that look really, really good. Some that aren't, the standard of Trotek, which is pretty good if you want to defend yourself against shooting, because it's -2 to shooting within 12 inches and -1 to shooting outside of 12 inches. The Totem of Prophecy is also pretty cool, the unit granting fear, which would be pretty useful to have in Temple Guard unit, to just drop them down to any attackers to weapon skill 1 if they fail a leadership test. But I do plan on getting a bunch more stuff for these guys, especially since the fact that it can fit on this small table. I do plan on collecting more. I shall update you later, hopefully with more battle reports. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get any battle reports tomorrow because of work, but I shall hopefully see you soon again with more updates. I was originally going to show you my Ork army, but I think that would just take too long since I've already spent 13 minutes talking about how few guys are here and the usefulness of the units in this army and how I generally use them. So this is the Zipting. I shall see you later, and good luck in any future Warhammer Fantasy games or 40k or whatever you play. Just good luck, and see you later.